Okay, let's get this party started. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to start the benefits and salary task force meeting. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Marecki. Here. Commissioner Kenizik,
That's not so loud.
Commissioner Dahl,
Here.
Vice Chair Clark Coleman. Here. Chair Bell,
Here.
you have a quorum present.
All right, thank you so much. As I stated when we started this, my methodology of going through this is to first talk about salaries and have a few meetings on salaries and low hanging fruit. We'll kind of put those together. And then we'll move on to medical benefits and what that looks like at the next set of meetings. And then the last set will be on retirement. So this is probably the last one that we have on salaries and other low hanging fruit. And then the next meeting that we have, we'll start the benefits conversation. Well, let me say that back. At the next meeting, I'm going to have some of the comments read from employees that have given suggestions and valid suggestions. I want to read those for the record. So at the next meeting, we'll read those into the record and then start a brief conversation on benefits and have about 2 or 3 meetings on benefits, where we are, where we've been, where we hope to go. And then the last piece will be on retirement and what that looks like and what we can do for people's retirement funds. So that being said, we did have great conversation over the last couple of meetings about, again, some low hanging fruit. And Joe and I came up with a set of questions. I think commissioners have those questions. So you all should have those questions, and some of those were answered. Others are going to be answered today at the table. So let's start with the questions, and then we'll go into some other issues as it pertains to salaries. Okay. So we're talking about low-hanging fruit over the last couple of meetings that we've had. Parking became an issue. What can we do with parking? What can we do with helping people pay parking? What can we do with transporting people from the parking lot that we have to the various county buildings around here? So parking was just an issue. So with that, some of the questions that we asked was pertaining to, and I'll read the first one. Has the county considered having its employees in Greektown park at First Street and hiring shuttle buses for them? Right now, those employees over in Greektown at 400 Monroe, they park near there, but I understand, and I don't know if there's anyone in the audience who can tell me how much do they pay to park. Dwayne, do you pay to park? And I'm just calling you out because I see you. A month.
How much?
$60 to $100 a month are generally what the people who work at 400 Monroe are paying, and they park at the lot surrounding 400 Monroe, correct?
I guess it's not only that they provide. There is no which lot available to pay $60 or $100. I think there's one 125.
Okay. And so employees go and they pay that, and I suspect that comes out of their paycheck, or do they pay it just credit card every month?
I think there's a couple lots.
Come to the mic, Dwayne. Because all this stuff that you're saying is not getting recorded right now. And I just picked on you. It wasn't planned. Go ahead.
That mic is not working.
Sit at the table, sir. I know. Sorry. Is the green button on? All right.
You got it.
All right, thank you. So the question I asked was, I just took you as an example because you work in the clerk's office. The clerk is over at 400 Monroe. About how much are your employees paying for parking?
Yeah, between $60 and $100, depending on which lot they're actually staying parking at.
Okay.
And some of those lots actually is payroll deduction,
Mhm.
and some of those lots they pay monthly.
Okay, so 60, so you're talking at least 600, so about $700 a year.
Yeah, $600 to $1,200 a year. Some of the employees are paying.
And that could easily go into there. I mean, if you take that and and pay for that, that's a pseudo raise. You have that much money in your pockets for groceries and rent and mortgage and everything else. So I just wanted to kind of put that on the record. We can talk about low hanging fruit, the things that we can consider doing as a county for employees who are over there. But going back to the question about can people park at the First Street lot and then have them bust over to their places over in the Greektown area? It says, yes, EDC has discussed this on 2 different occasions. It was determined at both times that the expense for the shuttle far exceeds the offset of the parking revenue. First Street collects $60 per Wayne County employee, excluding many appointed employees. A full list of those they can send to us. Is there any discussion with the administration on conversations or thoughts of right now? Because this was a few years ago that they had this conversation about. Is that something that has been discussed in employee packages that are offered now, or retention packages that thought of about paying for or having the persons parked there and shuttling them over to Greektown?
Through the chair,
Mhm.
Aaron Wagner, Deputy Chief Financial Officer. There is a parking group that's meeting currently that is working on 2 pieces right now. One is for CJC parking, the other is employee parking. So we are looking at different alternatives. I can tell you that, you know, the county does provide certain spaces, or there is a contract with Parkrite, which is right next to 400 Monroe.
Mm.
Those spaces are $150 per space per month, I should say. And so, you know, we are looking into this and trying to put together a comprehensive plan, because, you know, there's the cost of maintaining a shuttle to run from First Street all the way over to 400 Monroe. There's a time factor on that because it does take a bit of time for that to go through. So we're trying to be mindful that, you know, will be most impactful for the employees.
Okay, because I think once we're done with these meetings, we'll have a list of recommendations that we're going to present
Mhm.
to the administration. And that could be one of them, either, like I said, paying for the parking from the county coffers,
Mhm.
or even looking if there's another parking lot that's closer than Fort Street, that maybe we could have the employees park at. Like we have a relationship that they come from First Street here. Maybe there's another parking that's not as far as First Street, but something that we can maybe control, and we can shuttle them from that space to another. I don't know, but we'll have to look into that as well.
Mhm.
So is that any questions from the committee on parking and shuttling from First Street over, Melissa? Commissioner Dobb and then Commissioner Clark Coleman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just, I would really, you know, I don't know. I was shocked at $60 to $100 a month for parking, just to go to work every month. If you're making $15 an hour, that's 4 to 6 hours of work every month
Mm.
that just to pay to go to work. So that was just kind of shocking to me. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Clark Coleman,
How many parking spaces do we have at the
First Street,
First Street?
1461, 1,461.
Is it full?
Is it for no, of those spaces? That was our next question. So, so the next question was, how many spots are there? There are 732 spaces used by non-Wayne County. So we do contract out those spaces to other entities. And we have a list actually of how many the companies, Chase, Comerica, Doubletree, Eagle, Wade Trim, Executive Office, AT&T. So there's a lot of different people who rent those spaces. But the question is, is it totally full?
Through the chair, no, there are additional spaces available, especially with the flex schedules that we have right now. We've got, for the Guardian Building, company that runs that keeps a tally on how many county employees actually are able to or utilize the lot right now. And so the numbers are down quite a bit. So there is ample space there.
Okay, so in answering this question, it said that there are 732 spaces used by non-county.
Mhm.
How many do we have allocated for county employees? Do you know?
The remainder of spaces would be,
The remainder,
yes,
okay, this is remainder, okay. And someone do some quick math for you. When you have 1461 minus 732. Quick, anybody?
approximately 7.
729. So 729 are county spaces. Okay. Okay. The question was, when will the First Street contracts with non-county entities expire? And the contracts range from month to month with some arrangements, and then others expire and extended to 2031. And then again, in everyone's document, you have a list of the different companies that have parking spaces over there and how many they have. The biggest one looks like 211 Fort Street. They have employees that are over there, about 30 spaces that they have. And then Comerica Bank, is this correct? Utilizes 550 spaces?
Mhm.
Okay. So that just kind of gives us a picture of where we are, and we get money for them, obviously, correct?
Correct.
And that helps offsets kind of some of our revenue, the revenue from that offsets some of our expenses to run that parking garage and the shuttle.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Yes, Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Number 3, how much does Wayne County subsidize for the employee parking? Do we have those numbers? Doesn't look like.
So currently, employees that utilize the First Street parking, that's a $60 a month charge
For the employee,
for the
but
employee.
is Wayne County
No,
putting anything into that at all?
No.
Okay,
no.
all right. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The cost per space, if the average cost per space in downtown Detroit is, ranging between about $100. We pay 150 for the 400 Monroe.
Okay.
So, let's just say on average is $100, we would then be subsidizing that $40 that we pay. I can get an exact
Okay.
cost on what we charge for the various other entities that use the garage. So it's a dollar per dollar match just to show what the difference is.
Oh,
on that.
okay. It's when this answer was not provided, I thought the answer wasn't provided, not that we weren't providing.
Mhm.
Oh,
So
okay. Oh,
that's why I asked.
no,
That'd be great though, Aaron.
Yep.
You gave that.
any other questions before we move on? Anyone have any questions? Going down to the other questions. We asked that one with the first. So with parking, and I'll turn this over to Ms. Wilson. When we're talking about incentives for attracting new employees, has that been a conversation yet to include parking in new hires? But I guess you cannot include it for new hires if you don't have current employees. So has that been a
That's right.
conversation at all about what that will look like, or has that been cost out at any point?
Donna Wilson, and through the chair. Yes, we have not cost out per employee how much it would cost, but remember that it would be a bargaining issue because it's an economic benefit. So
Okay,
that would be something that we would have to negotiate with the unions. One of the things that we have done to attract and help in our recruitment efforts is that we do pay for people who come downtown to test. That if you're looking for a job and then you got to pay $20 to park,
Right.
that's probably not a good incentive. So we
Mhm.
have put in our budget the cost for people coming to test or applicants coming to test.
okay. And I don't know if who can answer this of you all who are here. You said that's a bargaining question about paying for parking. Has that been discussed with the union leaders? Has that been something you've discussed, or is it on the table? I should even ask.
Well, previously, so we bargained last year and we did pure wage economic bargaining. We did not necessarily touch benefit bargaining. So right now we are in preliminary discussions with the POAM, but their parking is not here. So I don't know if that's going to be an issue that comes up at the table. And then I'll yield to Matt if he wants to.
Yeah, just to echo I'm sorry, Matthew Carmona, Interim Director of Labor Relations for the county. just echo what Ms. Wilson said initially, that the last round of bargaining did not get into benefits. It was focused primarily on wages. There have been some special conferences with some of the units where where parking has been raised. But I would not say that there has been any sort of formal proposal from the county. And the primary reason for that is probably because the contracts are closed. We're sort of in the middle of the contract cycle right now.
Mhm, mhm. And I'm going back to, you mentioned POEM, which made me think about everyone that's going over to the Criminal Justice Center. Will those be paid parking positions or will those be free parking positions?
Through the chair, this is Aaron Wagner. That's one of the task force objectives that we're looking at right now. You know, the way that we're trying to, or as we're going through, we're looking at shuttling services from the various surface lots, what the costs would be, if we were to charge for parking, and you know, what our maintenance costs would be for free. And so that is an ongoing discussion. We do have staff members from commission staff that are part of this group.
Yes. Mhm.
And so as we're going through and looking at, you know, that piece of the CJC and opening on that facility, you know, these are ongoing discussions, but certainly nothing is off the table at this time.
Okay, and again, it's just if we own
Mhm.
the land, we own the building, we own the parking lots.
Yep, we are, I can attest to that. We are looking at cost models that, you know, what it would look like if it were free parking with shuttle services. So those are, you know, different categories that we're looking at and trying to figure out what the budgets would look like if we were to go into that direction. So it's definitely something we are investigating and discussing.
Okay. Any other questions about parking, Commissioner Marecki?
So are those contracts, are they 3-year contracts that you're talking about?
With this for the CBAs,
Mhm.
3 years is a pretty common number, but it can vary. I think right now,
24 and 23.
yeah, most expire in 23 or 20. Well, 23, 24, one goes up to 25, but that's a small bargaining unit.
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
I mean, it can vary.
Thank you.
And for the record, if we say Union ABC would like to offer your members free parking, what's that process look like? I mean, I can't believe I'm saying, no, we're closed. Don't do it. We gotta wait 3 years. I mean, I can't imagine that being the scenario. So what does that look like?
Sure. I mean, it can take various forms. Basically, it would be labor relations. Let me back up. The first thing that we'd have to do is figure out what we are able to offer,
Mhm.
right? So until we are able to lock down what we are able to offer,
Right.
it really would be premature to go approach the union. But once that's determined, then it would be labor relations approaching the various unions and saying we're interested in discussing adding, certain benefits in these areas.
Mhm.
Would you be interested in discussing that? And I agree. I think the answer from most of the unions would be yes. But I think that just generally speaking from labor relations in general is it is very important, even if you're giving an additional benefit
Mhm.
to you do have to bargain it with the union, and maybe not parking specifically, but the union or those employees could want something totally different than what the employer thinks they want. So that's why the union, I mean, they are the bargaining agent for their employees, and they would come back and go through the bargaining process.
Okay.
I'd just like also to add, and that's exactly what we did when we opened up economics. So last year, when we negotiated wage increases, we've done a notice to the union saying that we'd like to look at some additional enhancements, and that's we did in the middle of contracts.
Right. Okay. Okay, Commissioner Kling, you had your hand up?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Going back to the original contract for the CJC, there was a provision in there that said Rock is going to keep the parking until it collects $30 million in fees, and at that point, turn it over to the county. Or you can buy them from us right now for 30 million, and that's what the county did. But around that discussion, because we had a lot of discussion around that, and certainly my vote for us to buy it was certainly predicated on our employees parking for free over there. If that is no longer the case, I need to go back and look at, well, if we left it with Rock, what would they have charged their employees? Are we going to charge them more if that wasn't, but it was the distinct impression that buying those lots for 30 million was a way to provide not only our employees, but possibly jurors that go over there, free parking. So I'm a little bit, huh?
I don't think were under the impression of that at all.
Well,
When we
that's what the
approved it.
discussions were. And going back before that too, for a couple of years. So I'm a little sorry to hear that we're still figuring out costs on this, but I just wanted to throw that in. That's what historically the discussion has been.
And Terrence from our team is on that committee having those discussions, and absolutely, he's taking that perspective of free parking to the group as our desire for the county. I'm speaking for all 15. I think our desire of the commission would be to have free parking over at the CJC. Okay. Okay, all righty. So this documents before you all. It shows how many companies, how many spaces they have. We determined that 729 spaces are county, 732 are non-county. Right now, we shuttle folks from First Street here to Guardian, but we don't shuttle them to 400 Monroe, a little bit more for the logistics. So we'll talk a little bit about that internally about what that could look like if we were to shuttle folks again from another lot and give a recommendation on that. Okay, so those are the questions that Joe and I, the first batch of questions on that we had sent out. I'm gonna go back for a minute to salaries. I know the conversations when we talked last, the prosecutor was here as well as the clerk were here talking about, the members of their staff with the attorneys and the court clerks, and being able to look at what their salaries are to be more competitive. Can you give an update on maybe where we are with the court clerk positions? Have we been successful in hiring? Not, are people leaving still? This is kind of where we are. We get a nice report from the clerk every Friday, but because for the record today, just kind of talk about your efforts in hiring additional clerks.
Sure. Through the chair, I'm going to introduce Nazay Young, and he leads our recruitment activities and efforts, and have some information in front of you.
And can hold the microphone up close to you, sir.
Oh, I can move it up. All right. Good afternoon to the chair. I'm Nazay Young, the Senior Business Partner for Wayne County's Human Resources Department. As far in response to the question, for the clerk's office in particular, we're actually working right now with Michigan Works to develop a partnership that will provide the training. They'll do the sourcing, the training for the testing, in hopes that those individuals will pass that test. Once they pass it, they'll actually are offering to offset the salaries of those individuals until they complete probation. And so we're in works of developing that program now. The actual recruitment numbers over the past 30 days, I don't have those in front of me at the moment, but we have had some enhancements to our recruitment efforts in terms of how we present jobs online and creating best practices that align with what our competitors are doing. And that's what some of the document, if we want to jump to the document, I don't mind going over what some of those recruitment efforts have been. The enhanced postings you'll see throughout the waynecounty.com /jobs website. You'll start to see, we're taking them one by one, but we started with like JDF, registered nurses, public health nurses. There's a graphic that we were always choosing a picture or a graphic that better associates to the job and what that job will entail. We're also adding introductory paragraphs to that to kind of welcome people into what working in Wayne County would be like, welcome into what the division they may be representing. So for instance, with the, you guys don't have a PowerPoint up, but the JDS in particular, if we had that as an example, it talks in the posting language about the size of the CJC facility, the number of pods that a prospective candidate would be responsible for monitoring, who they would be reporting to, what the culture of the team is, and also just some kind of fun facts about why you would want to live, work, or raise a family in Wayne County. And so all of the posts are kind of being revamped to become more inviting to prospective candidates. As far as our sourcing for satellite testing, we've continued that as well, including clerk positions. That happens again at Wayne County Community College District, Northwest Campus. We're still doing those bi-weekly. They still may have been quite successful for candidates. And there, on regard to the earlier topic of free parking, that is another incentive that offers free parking at Wayne County Community College District to go in, test and apply for a job on site. We've also used LinkedIn to increase and have a presence on LinkedIn as far as sharing our postings. And we've created a tutorial that has been dispersed, video tutorial for those that may not be familiar with that. So they can go on and actually it'll walk you through step by step how to share a post that has been posted through Wayne County on your personal LinkedIn pages.
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, you said go ahead. I heard you say, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm going to just add one other,
Yeah.
specifically to the clerk's positions are one of the 13 classifications that we do test for.
Mm.
And we've had a high fail rate or a high no-show rate.
Mm.
And so what we've done is that we have included tutorials and sample tests on our website.
Oh,
And
that's
we
good.
share that information with candidates. And then I talked earlier about the free parking to even come in
Mhm.
and test for an position.
Oh, that's good to provide the tutorial, just so they get familiar with what the test looks like, kind of sample questions. That's a good idea.
And actually, Michigan Works is where they have received the test so that they can start building a training program according to previous tests that have been issued, so that they have the content to go ahead and train those, and when they source the applicants, be able to train them for passing the current test here so that we can increase that pass rate.
Great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you turn over on the backside, there's some more information about some of our upcoming recruitment efforts that tackle different areas. And we're always, again, looking for our partners throughout the county to help increase some of our recruitment. But we did do a mailing, just a kind of call it an old school mailing. We reached out to 231 faith-based organizations, 66 professional organizations, 92 nonprofits, and 31 career services throughout colleges and universities locally. We have started to receive invitations to career fairs from them.
Good.
We've also been invited to speak to small groups as well. And so we're putting that timeline together for all of our recruitment efforts. Additionally, we have some videos. I'm very proud to announce the commercials that we shot last year are being put into effect now. They are in AMC, MJR, and Imagine movie theaters, over 16 theaters. There will be a static image that will play before the movies, and then 7 theaters there will be video images that will play throughout lobbies, concession areas, as inside. So all of our recruitment areas will be there. There's a QR code for people to scan as well that will take them directly to the jobs website, and then we'll be increasing that effort over the next month to add billboards as well.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to see that we're stepping up our recruitment. And I guess it may be too soon to say if those recruitment measures are being beneficial yet. Are more people applying for jobs now that we're a little bit more visible?
Yes.
We had actually hired and 88 more candidates from the previous year. So we've tracked the numbers that we've hired each year. And so in 2022, we hired 88 more employees to Wayne County than we did the previous year. And we lost less. No, I think we lost more.
We lost more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Commissioner Clark Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did send a newsletter out about a month ago, and I did include some of these billboards
Mhm.
or flyers
Mhm.
in my newsletter.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And so that goes out to all the people in my district. So hopefully, we will get the message out. And I would encourage other commissioners who are sending newsletters out to make sure
To do the
to
same.
include them in there.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think we as a commission been, as proactive as possible, talking about it at our community groups, sending it out in our publications. I send it out in my electronic newsletters and my mail newsletters. I talk about it all the time. I'm just hopeful that people are, one, applying, and then two, coming aboard. I mean, you can apply all you want, you can interview, but if they're not saying the final yes, we have to figure out what is preventing people from saying the final yes. Is it the salaries? Is it the benefits? Is it parking? I mean, I don't know. Though, but I would suggest that it's probably all of them, right? So just making sure that we're providing an incentive for them to want to come, especially when you look at our neighbors across the street. City, and then our neighboring counties as well. And were we able to, I don't think we asked this, but we haven't done yet a comparison of salaries to our neighboring counties. Have we done that?
This is
Do you have that?
Donna Wilson through the chair. We have done it as preparation for bargaining. So we have done, wage comparisons and wage analysis. And so we do it on a regular basis. If there's something that you're looking for today, please let us know, but we do look at wage comparisons with all of our neighboring counties.
Okay, I'll request that we look at the wage comparison with the clerks, the prosecutors, and the deputies with Oakland, Macomb, and Wayne.
Ms. Young again. We also do comparisons with the counties and our neighbors here in terms of what our recruitment and practices areas are. So we try to make sure we tackle exactly what they are marketing and branding as well, that we are the matching or exceeding that. So that has been a recruitment effort.
Okay, good. Because if we can, be close to or exceed what our neighbors are doing, that would, I think, help bring some folks over. Understanding that we're the largest county in the state, we have more of everything. More cases to prosecute, more folks to put in incarceration. I mean, we have the most of the stuff, so we need more people, obviously. So, but I would be interested to know what the comparisons are with wages for all of those three categories, particularly that I just mentioned. So, Commissioner Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me. I think it was you, Donna, that mentioned exit interviews.
Yes.
Did we get those responses, or were you just talking about it? I can't remember.
No, we do exit interviews now. Our response rate is low as far as exit interviews,
Okay.
but those that we do receive, we do follow up on and learn valuable information. We're in the process now of updating the policy and also the messaging of the importance of exit interviews. So that you'll see that coming around.
So will we see any of the responses? Did we see anything with this, or were you just telling us about it?
We did not share any of the responses, but we can share.
Just
Obviously,
like
it's not-
general, I mean, obviously
Yes.
not the employee, but what kind of responses we're getting when they leave.
If
Thank
they
you.
left for another job or
Yeah.
a better paying job, or if they
Yes.
retired or moved away, it's kind of.
And what you'll see in our government ops submission on recruitment that was due yesterday, you will see we included the questions that we ask on our exit interviews. So that is in that packet, but we'll make sure that when we'll present it to the whole commission or to this body.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Dow?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. On the note of salary comparisons to other counties, we did a salary study last year or the year before, or was that not done? I can't remember.
We do market analysis on various classifications. So we have done that consistently. A salary study per se, I don't believe we've done a salary study.
Okay.
We had talked about and was supposed to do that about 8 years ago. I think it was
Oh,
8
no,
years
I'm
ago.
thinking of something. I
Something
was
else
here
more-
for it.
You were here,
like,
okay.
maybe a year ago, or I don't know if it was to compare to the private sector.
Benchmark sheriffs
Mhm.
or jailers.
Mhm.
So, we just really look, depending on the classification, we do private sector
Mhm.
benchmarks also.
Okay. Okay. All right, and then the last for today anyway, with the salaries, I know I don't know, but I think there's internal conversations about looking at salaries again for all across the board. I don't know what you can share on that right now. We did do increases last year, 2%, and I know we have to open it up to bargaining, and we went up to the $15 an hour. But if there's any additional information that we can share on what salaries look like going forward? And what kind of conversations are we looking at to do an overall, looking at our base salaries and maybe going up 10, 20, 30% for all the different categories and classifications rather, and moving forward on that? Is there anything we can discuss?
We don't have anything concrete, but to let everyone know, we are constantly looking at salaries and other ways of enticing and engaging individuals. For example, tuition reimbursement. That is something that we currently have, but we need to highlight it in our recruitment efforts. We need to highlight it for our employees. So there are other benefits that we offer as a county that we continue to try to bring forth so that we're actively being the employer of choice.
Okay, that salary comparison with other counties, if we can have that before our next meeting as soon as possible, I think that will be helpful when we look to see what other counties are doing with the same types of positions.
And for those specific classifications that you
Yes.
discussed. Okay, thank you.
Prosecutor, or deputies in the jail and the clerks, court clerks. Comparison with Detroit, where you can do Detroit, Wayne, Oakland County and Macomb County.
What state police?
State police, compared state police as well.
Because they're the ones that's taking our employees too.
Yeah. Okay. I see a nice memo here about the benefits. We're going to get into that piece next time. Thank you for coming today. But we're going to take a deep dive into benefits the next time, because that's going to be our next set of discussion items, because, benefits that's a hot topic. As I just got my thousands of dollar bill from my dislocated elbow. So I'm going to be one of the employees fussing about benefits. So we'll talk about that, and we'll review this document and talk about, again, kind of really want to know where we were, where we are, what can we do going forward. 2015, I think, was a pivotal year, and we know why, because we were, at a difficult place financially as a county, but I think we've passed that. So I think there's some benefits that we can offer to our employees that maybe go back to 2013, 12, 14, that I do not believe will set us back financially again, because we don't want to do something that's going to set us back, financially. But I think we're in a good, sustainable place where we can start looking at benefits of what we had before. That was very good benefits. As Irma will say all the time, you may not get the $100,000 working for the county, but at least you knew you had good health care benefits, and that could offset you wanting to come here and sacrifice maybe not having the most in salary, but you could offset that with your benefit plan. So we want to make sure that we take a deeper dive on benefits for the next 3 meetings after this. Commissioner Marecki?
I don't know any of the facts of this, but I've just heard now with Blue Cross Blue Shield, like I heard the city of Livonia, the payment that it's gone astronomical in the last couple months. So it'd be interesting to see too, what's going on with the insurance companies as well. Because just to revert back to another time may not be possible. So I don't know all the details, but I just heard that there's some astronomical payments being made in Livonia right now. So.
Yeah, we have to look at everything. I mean, we had Health Alliance Plan forever. That was something I grew up on, but we have other healthcare plans as well now too. So I think it's looking at all of them and seeing what's available, who's offering us the best. I mean, if I were an insurance company, I would love to have Wayne County as a client and all of the employees that we have. But I wanted to make sure that it's beneficial, that you're not just paying, because we pay now out of our check, and then the co-pays, and then the 20% of the 80% of what's it's a lot. It's a lot. And when I was young and healthy, maybe it wasn't such a big deal, but now that I'm old and not, so now it's becoming a big deal, and I get it. So we have to look for what we can do for our employees to, again, keep them and attract them. Commissioner Clark
Now,
Holman.
speaking of salaries, did we ever repay? We reduced their salaries. Did they ever recover that?
From back, like 10, 12 years ago, I guess it was, when you first came on, right? right? That's one of the first years you were here.
Took the payroll.
Mhm, we were taking, we had, I think everyone is restored except for the Wayne County Commission. But I think a lot of the employees are restored. I know all the electeds are restored. I want to say, and Aaron, who's been here a long time? I think Aaron is probably the oldest person. That's not old in age, but old, but old with county. That can speak to that. When we did a big pay cut about
Right.
2010, 2012.
Was it 10%?
It was,
Yes.
it was, through the chair, this is a couple of years before I was here, but I know that, because I started, I think in 2016,
Okay.
we had, been doing incremental,
Increases.
increases,
Mhm.
and I believe, I'll have to go back and check, but I believe we are at least back to, or those cuts were taken care of.
They're
from what I-
restored back to
yeah.
that 10% is back, except for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was back in, I started here in
2012,
2011.
11.
And shortly after that is when they
Mhm.
did the 10%
Mhm.
pay cut.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So if you are saying that that they only restored
Back to.
back to where they were in 2011 with all the inflation and everything,
Right, I'll have to go back and take a look at the numbers because it's, it predates my time with the county quite a bit. So, just to see where that cut went and then what different increases that we've had just to compare.
Yeah. Yeah, take a position, just as a sample, take any random position that was where they were in 2012 and then what the pay is today to see if they got the restored back pay and any increases since then. Because I would hope that it would be increases since then, not just the restored of the 10%. Commissioner Dobbs?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So all of the elected officials were restored to
Mhm.
their pay except for the Wayne County Commissioners.
Yes, ma'am.
What would it take for the commissioners to get their pay restored? And just like every other
Well, I'll say this.
elected
The
official.
way the commissioners are tied to the state of Michigan and the governor's salary. Okay, we're getting our head shake. Okay, Madam Commission
it-
Counsel.
And I don't remember the year, but it's been a few years where
Is your microphone on?
oh, it is. I'm sorry.
Okay,
My
thank you.
apologies. Through the chair. So there is a compensation ordinance that establishes the salaries of all county elected officials. The current ordinance ties the any pay raise of a county elected official to that of the unions, and it's an average. And based on the law, it's the timing of when an elected official can receive a pay raise. That's the issue. You can't just receive a pay raise at any time. Is there timing issue with regards to the law? So it is based on, you want to weigh in? Go for it.
Donna Wilson through the chair every 4 years. It's a 4 year. No, I was just adding the additional.
Every
detail.
4 years.
Yes.
And and go ahead.
It's every
Lisa.
it's every term. So essentially, before you're elected, your salary could be potentially raised. You have to do it a certain time before your election. So for county commissioners, the current term has been historically and currently is until in the future, 2 years. But the way the ordinance is written, it limits you to every 4 years. So it's really an ordinance thing and a timing thing with the law, something we could potentially look at.
And but to that point, we did not increase the other electeds. They were just restored their 10%, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if that's an increase, that's just a restoration.
I heard the state reps and the senators were.
I don't know about that.
Are we tied to the state reps and the senators?
That thing we untied that. That was untied.
But that was
Yeah.
eliminated and
Yeah.
then it was based on a formula.
Yeah.
So the salary, whatever the
okay.
salaries were at that current time.
Yeah.
Those were the salaries that were established in the ordinance, and then there was a formula established. I don't think that the elected officials ever received the restoration per se of the 10%, but some elected officials have received some incremental increases based on the ordinance. So I'm not sure they're all back to
Mm.
that level yet.
All right. All right, so we'll take a further
Thank
look
you.
at that,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner. But for today, we want to make sure that we're focusing on our employees and making sure that we are retaining and attracting the best of the best and making sure that we're compensating them accordingly and making sure that they're not lagging behind. Because then they will go to the state, they will go to the city, they will go to another county, and we are the best county in the state, and we want to show our appreciation and to our employees of that and make sure that we're attracting the best to the best county. So I think this is going to wrap up the salary portion. And again, once we're done with everything, we'll have recommendations to the administration, recommendations to commissioners on how we see we can put some things forward. Because we want to have this done before the budget season so that we can implement whatever we're going to implement into the next budget year. So any further questions on salaries, parking, low hanging fruit at this moment? Okay, so our next meeting, and I have a date. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to, it was a long March. I'm going to say April 6th will be our next meeting. April 6th, that's right after full board on that day. Do we have full board on that day, Madam?
Oh, Tuesday, the 11th.
Oh, we're having, so we may be on the 6th anyway, though, because that's a whole month away. But know that the next meeting will be in April because there are 5 weeks in March. So we do April 6th. We're still talking 1, 2, 3, in 5 weeks if we do April 6th.
But we don't have a meeting on April 6th.
I don't know, we can come down here. We'll come down on April 6th. I'll have lunch. So, but we're right. We'll have some substantial lunch for you, Commissioner. So look out for that date, but it will be in April. And what again I want to talk about is the benefits. So I know we have a benefit plan here. Read over this. If there are other questions that commissioners want us to ask the administration that aren't answered in this benefit package, get that to us. Again, we have 5 weeks. That's a lot of time to get questions asked and answered and have a discussion at that time. And then at the next meeting also, we're gonna start it by having some of the public comments read at the top of the meeting. Some not public comments, some of the comments that have come in from employees at the top of the meeting. I know that's why Pam was coming over here to talk to me. Oh, okay, it won't be that far. All right. Okay, any additional questions, comments before we adjourn? Oh, we have to vote on something. I'm sorry. Let me see the agenda. Okay, we do have to approve the minutes from November 17th, January 19th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Is there support? Support. Moved and supported. Any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, next item, Madam Clerk.
Unfinished business, there is none listed. Moving to such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
There is none.
Public comments.
Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to make a comment at this time or in the audience? Anyone on Zoom? Anyone on the radio? On the radio. Anyone, I see. Anyone on the telephone? Okay, hearing none in the audience, ma'am?
I have my hand raised on Zoom.
Oh, I'm sorry. Someone, hold on. I'm sorry, I can't see you, but I did hear a voice on Zoom.
Yes, Yolanda Shepherd, president of Local 1862. I'd like to thank you all for this task force, as always. I'd like to make a recommendation, and that is to look at the $15 per hour that you're paying individuals. Take out all the deductions that these individuals pay, and you'll get a rude awakening as to how much they're really taking home. You already were flabbergasted by what they're paying in parking. Just think about what they're paying with their health insurance for a family. Think about what's being deducted in taxes. Think about what they're paying in the healthcare trust. Think about what they're paying in union dues. These people are filing for food stamps. That is not something that we should be allowing our employees to have to resort to. That's my comment. But again, thank you for this task force.
Thank you. And we're not supposed to go back and forth, but I have to ask, what group do you represent?
Represent the management group. I'm in the supervisory local 1862. Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you so
But
much.
I
for,
try to speak for all. It's not just, I'm not
Yes.
just self-serving.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And we will look into that a little deeper to see which classifications are getting the $15. I'm just curious myself, what job titles are the people who are getting the $15 an hour and where are they throughout the county? We moved everybody up to 15. We moved them up to 15. They were lower than that. Okay, so thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else with a hand raised?
Sue Thompson.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. Sue Thompson, President of ASME Local 25, non-supervisory. Along with Yolanda, I want to thank you for taking on these very critical issues that are so important to current employees and also recruiting additional employees to work for the Great Wayne County. As Commissioner said, it's the best county. Come on, we want to keep it that way and make it better. We have a lot of things that we are talking about with deficiencies. I've been a long time employee with the county and certainly would like to see other people that would have a 33+ year career like myself. But what we want to see here too is talking about the medical benefits. I'm so glad that we are looking at all these things, but also, as Yolanda pointed out, with the $15 an hour folks, but we are also paying the highest cost sharing in the state. We are also over 5% above the 80-20 rule that's in place by state law. And that's certainly something to be taken a look at. And again, along with the costs that are factored into what's going on with the elevated costs of healthcare for everyone, including the city of Livonia, to really dive into that. But the other things that are coming up, just because we've been so short-staffed, is even we're looking at the big three here, but also looking at even the culture at Wayne County. You're making some efforts to improve recruitment and want to make Wayne County attractive to new hires, but it's also looking at how we operate in our workplaces. For example, where I work, it's management, because we're under minimum program requirements and have things that we do need to meet in terms of the state, but we are short-staffed and management's expecting our staff to do the work of a full allotment of employees. It is creating some stress, and I hear from my members that no matter what, they'll try to keep up, and management's not recognizing, you're working, just keep doing more and more and more. And, it's starting to really wear on some of our long-term employees. And we don't want that to be happening. So I think management, should be looking into also some of the things that can make our workplaces, just labor management of situations, much better than they are now. And in some of the areas I'm working in, and one of my other representatives from the hearing and vision technicians group is on here too. And it's one of these things, the same thing. The employees are afraid to speak out or say that they're behind, or they just feel the constant stress of having to keep up with the metrics to be able to meet state standards in order to keep funding and keep those the clients of Wayne County served. So I think that's another thing to look at. But again, appreciate all your efforts on this on behalf of the employees I represent. So looking forward to continuing hearing in the committee's progress and having any input, certainly from the union perspective, to make things better here. That's the goal, certainly as a union representative and as an employee, that I certainly want to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your 33 years of service. Thank you for joining us today. Mr. Skillman?
Yes, greeting, Commissioner. David Skillman for the Government Administrators Association. I want to echo President Shepherd's kudos as to this discussion on benefits and salaries. It's much needed. My point, however, is singular. Those concessions that were made in 2015, maybe they have been restored. There is a question. I think we really need to look behind the veil to see exactly what was the concessions at that point and the increases that have been made since then. The thing that doesn't happen often with our negotiations is the pay salary, the ranges, right? That doesn't get adjusted. And so what happens is we get the percentage increase, but the pay scale doesn't change. And now, additionally, often those ranges are a mere carrot for employees with no real apparent way to reach that absent with the way that it used to be accomplished through steps, right? So that's my singular comment, is to just to take a closer look at that process for getting those increases. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I hear you, and I will write that down, looking at the steps process again. Okay, thank you. And the range, salary range. Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else on Zoom? All right. Young lady, you have the floor here in the audience. Yes, please, because the microphone is not working at the podium. Why is the microphone not working at the podium? Okay, we'll fix that. Go ahead.
Hi, Amanda Smith, and I'm the president of the Government Bar Association, Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, representing the EPs there, and also most of the attorneys at Corporation Counsel. And I have our first vice president, Deb Blair, here as well. I echo the other comments. We thank you so much for doing this task force. I feel like it's a long time coming. We're very excited to see what will happen. I know that the chair has asked for information about salaries for their prosecutors, and I just want to make sure someone got it, because we sent a 53-page PDF doc. There you go. This is like,
I have your dissertation, ma'am.
like we're not busy enough at the prosecutor's office. We have been really doing a deep dive in this specific area. We've got charts, we've got graphs, we've got county
Yes, you
line
do.
nationwide.
Yes.
We have tried to package this information any way we think it can possibly be used to really drive home the idea that our prosecutors are the hardest working, most overburdened prosecuting attorneys, probably the entire state, and severely underpaid, especially compared to our neighboring counties. And even tiny old like Wexford County, 35,000 population, and those prosecutors, I think, start at the same or higher than our prosecutors. So we are willing to do any additional research or analysis that anyone would find to be useful, but I always come from a bargaining perspective as just couching it in the data. And we are asking for just equity and, equal pay for equal work. And we really work. So we're just asking for our salaries to reflect that.
Thank you so much. And what I will do, I brought it here with me because yes, I was going to give you a shout out, not knowing that you were who you were, and say that I received a great document from Ms. Smith. I will share this with the committee, and I don't know if Ms. Wilson has this. I will share this also with Ms. Wilson, because it is quite detailed and quite thorough on your request.
So nerd deep dive.
Yes.
That is what we do. And I also want to give special recognition to Anna Pasegian, she's doing an investigative subpoena right now. So she couldn't be here today. She has a business background. She has really done the analysis as far as, dollar per dollar, what do our benefits stack up with Macomb? They pay zero out of pocket for their medical. They pay zero for parking. They don't pay city tax. Plus they start around the same as Wayne County Prosecutor, but their salary increases tremendously over like a 3-year period comparatively. So no wonder we've lost 12 people to that office within the last 24 months. It just makes sense, So we urgently want to keep our people and we want to attract people. So we're doing everything we can from GBA's side.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Smith. I'm glad you came, and a very thorough document, and we will certainly look at this, take it into consideration. Know that Prosecutor Worthy fights for
100%.
all the time. Absolutely. Yes, she does.
To partner with her to give her what she needs to do it.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Okay,
Commissioner
thank you.
Clark Coleman. Hold on one second.
Wait to say that. We do know how hard you're working because we hear that from the prosecutor all the time.
Yes.
How under staffed you are and how overworked and overburdened you are.
Yes.
So we do hear that, and how underpaid.
Yes.
So she speaks very highly of her staff, and she stands up for you guys.
Yes.
So don't ever think.
Oh, I never do. I tell anyone that she's been a tremendous supporting partner with us in this endeavor. I watch her come to these committee meetings, and we came in person today just to put a face to a name,
Yes.
you know? And 100%, the prosecutor's been tremendous in this regard. And so I do what I can to support her because I know she's fighting for us.
Yeah, she is fighting
Yes.
for you
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
We
so
look
much.
forward to continuing dialogue with you. Dwayne, did you have your hand raised? I don't know if you were pointing at Ms. Smith or you wanted to speak as well.
Hello, Dwayne Seals, Chief Deputy Clerk. I just want to reiterate that as far as our court clerks, we understand the recruitment is going well. The situation we have is immediate need. We have approximately, I think, 25 court clerks, not to mention approximately 77 court employees vacant, but we have 25 court clerks. When we reach 25, that means that's 25 court clerks that are not in the courtroom.
Mhm.
We just had a chief presiding judge stated that she's gonna invite 2 more court clerks, 2 more judges to come over. We have an issue. How do we house those or staff those courtrooms?
Hmm.
We've had a situation where we've been actually having courts be delayed, having court clerks work 2 courts at the same time.
Mm.
So the clerk has been very, very adamant about that. We need this now. And the biggest concern we have done exit interviews. When people left, when they left or went to another place or went to the city of, went to another court. And it was salaries. They simply said that, hey, it's too cheap. I can't work for this kind of money. We've actually went on a recruit and they've always come back and said, they're all excited. They get down, they come down for the test and they say, oh, wait a minute, is that what you're paying? Oh, no, I'm gonna go back, work at the car wash. I'm gonna go back and work at, be a host someplace. And those are true stories. Though. I've talked to individuals and they've pretty much said, no, I'm gonna continue being a host at this restaurant because I make more money.
Wow.
So it's the salaries when you talk about it, compensation for employees. And that's where we're at right now.
And currently, just for the record, 38,000 is the starting salary?
38,000 is a starting salary. We've been working with the courts right now. There's a grant that we're trying to get money in for that to see if we can actually use some of that grant dollars to put on top of court clerk salary so we can pay them more. Yes, it's 38,000.
And 40,000 is at 36th district?
We've had court clerks literally go upstairs and make $50,000. They have AAs. The judges have actually taken some of our court clerks. So we usually have maybe 2 to 3 individuals that resign every week. So we're always constantly trying to replace our court clerks. And we talk to them, they're all because of salaries. They've got offered a higher paid position. We used to have senior court clerks that have been around for some time. Now I think they're pretty much 2 and 3 years. That's all we have as far as their tenure with the clerk.
Wow, okay. And okay, that's good to know. And I'm looking for solutions. I mean, this is a solution-oriented group. You're suggesting that salaries is the issue. What do you think the minimum salary would be, in your opinion, not just your opinion, to attract and keep someone?
Madam Clerk and myself, we've been discussing this. And we've talked with the courts and we've just sent a document explaining what we're looking. We need to be at $50,000, probably 51,000. That is the range that other court clerks are making in the area. And we're losing them to that range right there.
Okay,
So
all right. Thank you, sir. I
I
appreciate
want to
you.
thank too personnel, what they've been doing. We do appreciate the work they have been getting us individuals through the door, helping us out, processing requisitions for us. So we do thank you for the hard work that they've been doing for us. But just want to make sure this body recognizes that it's the salaries, it's compensation that to get the court clerks in.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that looks like that is all of our public comments. Thank you all for coming to the meeting. Again, I'll have the date for the next meeting, but it will be in April, either the first week or the second week in April. I'll let you know as soon as possible. And I entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, thank you all so much. Appreciate you. Thank you. Now I can go get some lunch. I gotta go too.
So